Hey, what's going on, guys? So everyone knows that Pokemon have types. Some have the upper hand on other types, and some have the weaknesses to other types. But have you ever asked yourself, why? Why is fire weak to water? Well, that's obvious, but why is psychic weak to ghosts? Well, look no further, because in this video, I'm going to explain the logic behind why these types are weak to other types. Oh, and by the way, don't mind the music in the background. I know it's not Pokemon, but it's just too good. I just found it, and oh my god, I just fell in love with it. So anyways, let's get started. So let's start with normal type. Normal type is weak to fighting because, you know, a fighting Pokemon is basically a normal type Pokemon with extra physical skills. So of course, a fighting Pokemon is going to have the upper hand when fighting a normal type Pokemon. Ghost has no effect against normal because normal people can't reach the undead, and the undead can't reach normal people. Fighting. Fighting is weak to flying, psychic, and fairy. Flying because if someone is airborne against someone who's on the ground, of course they're going to have the upper hand. Psychic because, you know, mind over matter. And fairy because, well, maybe fairies are too cute for big brute fighters. Flying. Flying is weak to rock, electric, ice, and ground has no effect against flying. Rock because, ever hear the term two birds and one stone? Electric because lightning is more likely to hit a flying object that's higher. Ice because birds can't fly with frozen wings, and a lot of birds fly south for the winter to escape the cold. Ground has no effect against flying because, well, I think that's pretty obvious. Poison. Poison is weak to ground and psychic. Ground because poisonous garbage like radioactive trash is buried under the ground. Psychic because the power through meditation can expel the impurities in your body. Ground. Ground is weak to water, grass, ice, and electric has no effect to ground. Water because, well, water would make the ground all soggy and muddy. Grass because grass can break through the ground in order to grow. Ice because think of snow and how it completely covers the ground. It's like suffocating and forgotten. And electric has no effect to ground because, well, when a lightning bolt hits the ground, it doesn't really do anything. Rock. Rock is weak to fighting, ground, steel, water, and grass. Fighting because a martial artist can break bricks. Ground because if a boulder hits the ground, it would probably leave an indent. Steel because, well, you know, steel is stronger than rock. Water because water can slowly erode rock. Grass because plants can root inside the cracks in the rock. Bug. Bug is weak to flying, rock, and fire. Flying because birds eat bugs. Rock because a rock can squish a bug. Fire because think of burning ants with a magnifying glass. Ghost. Ghost is weak to ghost, dark, and fighting and normal have no effect. Ghost because, well, ghosts are an intangible substance, so only other ghosts can hurt them. Dark because nice ghosts can be corrupted by evil spirits. Fighting because try to punch a ghost and see what happens. And normal has no effect against ghosts because of the same reason why ghost has no effect against normal. Fire. Fire is weak to ground, rock, and water. Ground because you can put sand on fire to put it out. Rock because, well, whenever you make a campfire, you put rocks around the fire so it won't spread. Water because, well, water puts out fire. Water. Water is weak to grass and electric. Grass because grass absorbs water to stay hydrated. Electric because water conducts electricity. Grass. Grass is weak to flying, poison, bugs, and fire. Flying because grass is vulnerable to flying objects. Poison because poison kills plants. Bugs because bugs eat plants. Fire because fire takes out grass. Electric is only weak to one type, which is ground, and I didn't even realize that until just now. Ground because, well, when a lightning bolt hits the ground, it doesn't really do anything. Psychic. Psychic is weak to bug, ghost, and dark, and all three of these have the same explanation. They are all basic fears. Ice. Ice is weak to steel, fighting, rock, and fire. Steel because steel can break ice like glass. Fighting because a martial artist can punch through ice. Rock because throw a rock at some ice and see what happens. Fire because fire melts ice. Dragon. Dragon is weak to ice, dragon, and fairy. It's weak to ice because when I think of dragons, I think of mythological creatures lost in old legends, and ice has the sense of timelessness to it. Dragon because dragons don't like each other? I'm not really sure about this one. Fairy because fairy type is meant to be viewed as magic according to the Wikipedia. I feel like they should have called it magic instead of fairy because it sounds way more awesome. But in the old legends and many sources, dragons are impervious to magic, so it really doesn't make any sense. Maybe fairies are too cute for gruesome dragons, or maybe mythological creatures are weak to other mythological creatures. Who knows? Dark. Dark is weak to Fighting, Bug, and Fairy, and Psychic has no effect. Fighting because, well, in the Japanese version, Dark is actually called evil, and maybe superheroes are fighting evil villains. Bug because bugs can see in the dark. Fairy because, well, Fairy is considered light, and that's the opposite of the spectrum, and light definitely overcomes dark. And Psychic doesn't have any effect against dark because you can't see your enemy in the dark to use psychic abilities on them. Steel. Steel is weak to Fire, Fighting, Ground, and Poison has no effect to Steel. Fire because fire can melt steel into a puddle. Fighting because strong people can bend steel. Ground because ground holds iron until something digs it up. Poison has no effect to Steel because think of Superman, Man of Steel, can't get a shot. Last but not least, Fairy. Fairy is weak to Steel and Poison, and Dragon has no effect. Steel because fairies are traditionally weak to cold iron, which is steel. Poison because in some legends, fairies are easily poisoned by such things as salt. And also think of old fairy tales like the Snow White being poisoned by the apple. And Dragon has no effect to Fairy because, well, just to balance things out in Pokemon. So now you know. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. I sure enjoyed making it. Took me about 15 hours to make, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.